side. So I didn't see all the bad stuff. As a matter of fact, most of what I heard was black folks are bad. And a lot of the white folks will deny they ever said anything, and they might not have said it in so many words, but they let you know it. And then when integration started, about 1966 in Greenton County, it was the same way that Mr. Harris decided. There were just a few black children that would go to the white school. No white children went to the black school. Just a few black children went to the white school, and nobody has really any hard evidence of what he was saying, but generally what he was saying was that they were trying to prove that the black children couldn't learn with the white children. They were inferior. And that's pretty much what was going on everywhere in the South. And I'll tell you something, and you guys may run me out of here when I tell you this. I was so far on the other side, my father, in 1965 or so, joined the Ku Klux Klan. And he would take me with him to Klan rallies. And I would listen to that stuff, and I never did really accept any of it. I heard it. I mean, of course, the language was terrible. But what started to turn me against it was they stood up there. These were World War II veterans now, Korean War veterans, grown-up men, stood up there and said that we fought on the wrong side in World War II, that we should have been allied with Hitler. And I'm thinking, how in the world can you do that? Can you say that? When Hitler wanted to kill everybody. He would have got around to killing all the white folks if he'd have got a chance.
That's right. You sure would.
And then another thing that turned me around was they started talking about how they hated the Jews and the Catholics. And all the Jews and Catholics I knew were white.
Right.
and I never did get a satisfactory answer to why they hated the Catholics so bad. They would say they hate the Jews because they claim the Jews killed Jesus. I don't know how they figure that. There's nowhere in the Bible says the Jews in particular killed Jesus. The Romans and the Pharisees, things like that. But I may have my names wrong, but I never could understand why, the hatred. It was just like Hitler. They hated everybody. And they get around to hating themselves if they let them go long enough. And so another thing that happened to me on the day after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, this particular incident turned my life around more than any other thing in my life. I was going to an all-white school at the time. My father had pulled us out of the integrated school and put us in an all-white school. And I went into the office that morning, the day after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, and I said something that was not very respectful. And I don't remember exactly what it was at the time, but the lady that was working in the office at the time, Lord, she got on me.
Bless you.
When I got out of that office, I felt about that tall. She told me, she said, I don't care who that man is, he's a human being.
That's right. That's right.
And I remember her words. She told me that she was ashamed to even know me. And I thank that woman. I wish I could thank her to the face. I thank her just about every day for calling me out on that. Because she changed my life. And, the only other person that did as much to change my life as she did was my wife. And, when I met her in 1980, I was still what I would call myself a conservative. I had voted for Ronald Reagan twice.
Right.
And, but I thought of myself as a social liberal and a fiscal conservative. I know now that those two things are not compatible. If you can't separate the fiscal from the social. It's all the same.
That's right.
But my wife was liberal to the bone, and she knew me and she accepted me, and she knew that I had some goodness in me, and all I had to do was open my mind. And she, over the years, she opened my mind, and I'm proud to have known her. She was, in my opinion, the best human being to ever walk the earth. She had nothing but love for people, and she taught me. She caused me to go out and get more education, and that's the other thing. When I got more education, my mind opened. I accepted things that I had not accepted before I got educated. I got more education. I got more open-minded, and as I got more open-minded, I could see the bad things that happened in this world. And I could see that bad things happen to white folks too, and they just, there are people in charge that have convinced the poor white people that the poor other races, black, brown, whatever, are trying to take what they've got away from them. So you don't have much, but see that guy over there, he can take it, he gets a chance. And since you're white, you've got a chance to build yourself up and become rich like the rest of us. And they believe that. And I don't know, it's just more than my mind can handle. But I will say too that another incident that sort of opened my mind was when I graduated from high school. I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, about 10 days after high school graduation. Now, going to a broadcast school down there. And I lived about 4 miles from school, so I generally had to walk because the bus fare was a quarter, and I didn't have a quarter a lot of times. So I would walk home from school, and school got out like at 4 or 5 o'clock, and after I walked home a few days, these black kids that went to the same school as I, they were from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I wish I could remember the name. I know one of them name was Corker. His last name was Corker. But they would pass by me in their car on the way to their home, wherever they were staying. And so one day, one of them asked me, says, "We see you walking every day. How far do you walk?" I said, "About 4 miles." They said, "We'll give you a ride if you want." I said, "Well, yeah," because it was summertime, it was hot, and it was rough. But they would come, they would bring me to pull up in the yard, and my landlady's name was Mrs. Wilkins. And she ran a boarding house, and I lived in that boarding house, and they would pull up in the yard and let me out.